Hello students, welcome to Easy Science YouTube channel. So today we'll discuss about reproduction in flowering plants. In the previous classes we discussed about reproduction, sexual reproduction in organisms. Now today we'll discuss about reproduction in flowering plants. This is part 1. So before going to the class, please subscribe to Easy Science YouTube channel and click the bell icon. You will never miss an update from my channel. So please share with your friends Easy Science YouTube channel, and it's free. You can download the notes and you can hear the lessons unlimited. Right. So please share with your friends also. Let's move to the class today, that is reproduction in flowering plants. See, we all know from the lower classes onwards, we know that the flower is the reproductive part of the seed plant, right? It's very attractive, right? So it is considered as the reproductive part of the plant. And in plant, two structures are there, androecium and gynoecium. Androecium is considered as the male reproductive organ and gynoecium is considered as the female reproductive organ. Androecium contains stamens. So what androecium contains? Androecium contains stamens. So stamens has two parts. These are the male reproductive parts. Stamens has two parts. One is the filament. The filament is very long, slender stack. And anther, second one is the anther. They are bilobed structures. Generally the anther is a bilobed structure. So these are the parts of the androecium. Androecium contains stamens. Stamens contains two parts. One is the filament. Filament is considered as the long slender stalk, and the second part of the stamen is anther, which is terminal structure. Stamen's terminal structure is anther, which is a bilobed structure. So the proximal end of the filament is attached to the thalamus or petal of the flower. The number, like how many number of stamens are there and what is the length of the stamens, it will be dependent on, like it is different in different species. And we already discussed the anthers are generally bilobed and each lobe bilobed, and each lobe is having two theca, that we called it as dithecus, and a longitudinal groove will run lengthwise separating the two theca. And it is four-sided. It is four-sided, it's not four-sided, it is four-sided and consisting of four microsporangia located at the corners, two in each lobe. See, let's discuss this in the diagram. So this is what we discussed here. Like each lobe, anthers are four-sided. See, they are four-sided and consisting of four microsporangia. 1, 2, 3, 4. Four microsporangia located at the corners and two in each lobe. This is the first lobe and this is the second lobe. Each lobe contains two microsporangia. Totally four microsporangia are present on the they are present on the anther. See, it's a bilobed structure, right? So each lobe consisting of two microsporangia. We already said that it is dithecus. Each lobe is having a theca, right? Dithecus. And in each theca we have a microsporangia, and each lobe consisting of two microsporangia. So two lobes are there, so totally four microsporangia are present, right? So this is the structure of the stamens, which contains the proximal part is known as anther, right? And this is the filament. It's a long stack-like structure and it is attached to the thalamus or petal of the flower, right? So terminal structure is bilobed, which we called it as anther. See here, clearly observe, this is anther and this is filament. These two structures together we called it as stamen. and it's bilobed. If you observe, this is the one lobe and this is other lobe, and each lobe contains theca, two theca, and it is dithecous, and at each lobe we have two microsporangia. Totally 4 microsporangia are present. 4 microsporangia. 4 microsporangia. It's here I am writing microsporangia are present, 2 in each lobe. So this is the structure of the stamen. So andrecium is known as the male reproductive organ which contains stamens. Stamens contains two parts. One is the long stack called filament, and the terminal part is known as anther. Anther is a bilobed structure, and each lobe contains two theca, that is dithecous, right? And each lobe contains two microsporangia at the corner. So totally 4 microsporangia are present inside the anther. So this is the basic structure of the stamens. That is, stamen contains two parts, anther and filament. Together we called it as stamen. So microsporangia, they further develop and forms pollen sacs. Sac means a bag-like structure they will form which contains the pollen grains. Bag-like structure. So microsporangia develops further and form pollen sacs. And microsporangia extend longitudinally all through the length of the anther. Throughout the anther, microsporangia are present, and microsporangia, we said pollen sacs are present in which pollen grains are there. So it is packed with pollen grains, and this let's discuss about the structure of the microsporangium. So microsporangium is made up of 4 layers: epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, tapetum. So the 4 layers of microsporangium are epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, and tapetum. So the 3 layers, like this epidermis, endothecium, and middle layer, like they perform the function of the, what are the 3 layers which perform the function of protection? So the 3 layers are epidermis, endothecium, and middle layer. They perform the function of the protection, and they also helps in dehiscence of anther. Dehiscence means splitting or bursting. Dehiscence means splitting. It is also called as bursting. See, the pollen grains are present inside the microsporangia. The microsporangia has to split or burst in order to release the pollen grain. So these 3 layers helps in the function of the protection. They perform the function of protection and helps in the dehiscence of the anther in order to release the pollen grains. And the last layer, which is the innermost layer, is known as tapetum. It nourishes, give nutrition, provide nutrition to the developing pollen grains. And tapetum contains dense cytoplasm, and this is binucleate. Tapetum contains 2 nucleus because the tapetal cells, it contains cells which undergo division. The cells undergo division where the nucleus will divide inside the nuclear membrane, but cytokinesis does not happen. So due to the division of the nucleus, 2 nucleus will be there. That's why tapetum is considered as binucleate. So microsporangium is made up of, the most important structure of the anther is microsporangium, where pollen grains are present, right? So it is made up of 4 layers like epithelium, and epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, and tapetum. The 4 layers of microsporangium are epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, and tapetum. So the 3 layers like epidermis, endothecium, and middle layer, they perform the function of protection and helps in dehiscence of the anther. In order to release, dehiscence means splitting or bursting, in order to release the pollen grains. The innermost layer is known as tapetum, which nourishes the growing pollen grains. right? And it's binucleate. So when the anther is young, which contains the microsporangia, when it is young, a group of compactly means there is no space between the cells, a group of cells which are compactly arranged, and these cells are homogeneous. What do you mean by homogeneous? Morphologically and structurally they are very similar, and such types of cells are present, and these cells are named as potential pollen cells or microspore mother cells. When the anther was young, the microsporangium consists of a group of cells, homogeneous cells, that means which are structurally and morphologically similar cells are present, and these cells we called it as potential pollen cells or pollen mother, like microspore mother cells we called it as. They occupy the center of each sporangium. I said these cells are present inside the microsporangium, and these group of cells, you know, if any group of cells are there, we called it as tissue, right? So these group of cells is known as a sporangious tissue. So microsporangium in the middle contains sporangious tissue. What is present inside the sporangious tissue? Group of homogeneous cells. What the cells are called as? They are called as potential pollen cells or microspore mother cells, right? So what happens? What is the function of these cells? As group of cells are present, we call it as a tissue, and this tissue name is known as sporangious tissue. What is the function of these cells? These are present when the anther was young. When the anther matures, what happens is each mother cell, pollen group of cells are present, right? We call it as potential pollen cells are microspore mother cells, we are calling it as. So these cells, what they will do is they divide by meiosis. You know, in meiosis, 2 times division occurs. See, you already know about mitosis and meiosis. Meiosis means 2 times division occurs, but duplication of DNA takes place only 1 time. So whatever DNA is formed, like whatever chromosomes are formed, they were equally distributed into the cells. 2 times cell divides means 4 daughter cells are formed, which are having the haploid number of chromosomes, right? So these cells divide by meiosis. The cells present in the sporangious tissue, when the anther become mature, the cells, that means what cells are present? The potential pollen cells are microspore mother cells, divide by meiosis and give rise to 4 daughter cells. Each microspore mother cells divides and give rise to 4 daughter cells, that we called it as 4 cells are formed. That's why it is called as a microspore tetrad. The cells are called as microspores. As 4 cells are present, it is known as tetrads. Tetrads represents 4 cells. Tetrads represents 4 cells. See, these microspore mother cells are diploid in condition. We know the gametes are haploid, so they divide by meiosis and give rise to 4 microspores which are haploid, which contains n number of chromosomes. And see, microsporangium contains cells. Microspore mother cells divide and give rise to microspores. So the process of formation of microspores from pollen mother cell is called microsporogenesis. This will be happen only when the anther was mature. The process of formation of microspore by the division of meiotic division of pollen mother cells is known as microsporogenesis. So microsporogenesis, when it will happen? When the anther was mature. I said each mother cell divides meiotically and forms 4 daughter cells. So they form, every cell has a cluster of 4 cells, which we called it as tetrad. Let's say each cell of the microsporangium, that is the sporangious tissue, contains a group of homogeneous cells, right? So each cell has a cluster of 4 microspores, and this we called it as a tetrad, right? So when the anther matures, see, all the cells have divided and formed their tetrads. That is the end of the maturity of the anthers. See, when it started maturity, the cells of the sporangious tissue start dividing and producing microspores. Every cell has its own tetrad, that is, every cell produces its 4 daughter microspores and form as a tetrad. And all the cells completed the division and forms 4 daughter cells. Now 4 daughter microspores. Now the anther is fully matured and it gets dehydrated. The anther gets dehydrated. Then what will happen? Dehiscence will happen, right? The anther will split or burst. First, initially what happens is, when the anther mature, first it gets dehydrated. Whatever moisture is present, that gets evaporated. First it's dehydrated. So after dehydration, what will happen? The cluster of cells, 4 cells, every cell has a cluster of 4 microspores, right? So they started dissociating from each other. See, all the clusters have dissociated, then dehiscence will occur. Anther bursts or splits to release the microspores into the atmosphere. So thousands of pollen grains are formed and released with the dehiscence of the anther. See, anther, when it was young, it has a, like, anther contains a microsporangium at the 4 corners. Each cluster has, each lobe has 2 microsporangia, right? Totally 4 microsporangia are present. When the anther is young, this microsporangia at its center, each microsporangia at its center, it contains a tissue called sporangious tissue, which contains a group of cells. These cells, we called it as potential pollen cells, they are called as microspore mother cells, right? When the anther was reaching the maturity, these cells start dividing. These mother cells will divide by meiosis and forms 4 daughter microspores, and they present as a cluster attached to each other. Every cell has 4 microscopes as a cluster. When the anther was fully grown or fully mature, initially it dehydrates. Anther gets dehydrated. So what happens if the anther gets dehydrated? This cluster of 4 cells will separate from each other. Completely all the cells have separated from each other. Then the anther, for the anther, what happens? Dehiscence happens. It splits and releases thousands of pollen grains into the atmosphere, right? So this is the diagrammatic representation of the 4 layers of this microsporangium. See, it is made up of 4 layers. So this is epidermis, and inner layer is endothecium, and the inner layer is middle layers. These 3 layers will give protection, and it also helps in dehiscence of the anther. So here I am writing helps in dehiscence. It helps in dehiscence of anther. So this is the innermost layer is known as tapetum, which is a nutritional layer, provides nutrition to the growing pollen grains, and microspore mother cells like sporangious tissue, which contains the microspore mother cells, are present, right? Microspore mother cells are present. Sporangious tissue, see at the center sporangious tissue is present, which contains microspore mother cells. They divide meiotically and produce 4 daughter cells, which we called it as a cluster of 4 cells. Tetrad will be present. When the anther gets maturity, it dehydrate and the cluster of the cells separate from each other. When it was fully grown, like all the cells get separated, then what happens? Dehiscence will happen. See, this is the dehiscence. It ruptures, the wall ruptures and releases the pollen grains into the atmosphere. Release the pollen grains into the atmosphere. So this is about the structure of the anther. So now pollen grains have released into the atmosphere. Let's discuss about pollen grains. Pollen grain is known as the male gametophyte Pollen grains are of different sizes, shapes, colors and designs also. Generally they are spherical in shape and having a diameter of 25 to 50 micrometers, and it's a two layered. Pollen grain has two layers, inner layer and outer layer. Let's discuss about pollen grain. Pollen grain is considered as a male gamete which is non-motile. Generally, in sexually reproducing organisms, the male gametes are motile, but in case of seed plants, the pollen grains, which are the male gametes, are non-motile. So, they are in different sizes, shapes, colors and designs. They are generally spherical in shape and they are 25 to 50 micrometers in diameter. It is two layered, inner and outer layer is present. So, this is the diagrammatic representation of different pollen grains. Different pollen grains. See, colors are different, sizes are different, even shapes also different. But most probably if you observe, they are spherical in shape, right ma? Some are, most of them are spherical in shape, right? So different colors are there, different sizes are there, different shapes also there, right? Next, so this is the structure of the pollen grain. It's a it contains two layers. Pollen grain is made up of two layers, the outer layer and inner layer. Outer layer is known as exine and the inner layer is known as intine. So here a pore is present in the exine, which we called it as germ pore. Two cells are present, generative cell and its vegetative cell, and this is generative nucleus and vegetative nucleus. Let's discuss the structure. So the outer layer, it is made up of two layers. Pollen grain is made up of two layers. The outer layer is very hard and it is called exine, and it's made up of sporopollenin. It is made up of sporopollenin. It's a most resistant organic material. Sporopollenin is most resistant organic material. It can withstand higher temperature, strong acids and strong bases also. And no enzyme that degrades sporopollenin is so far known, and it has some pores we discussed here. See, some pores are present on the outer wall, which we called it as germ pore, and this is the place where the sporopollenin was not there. Sporopollenin is not present. Remaining all places sporopollenin is present, but at this place sporopollenin is absent, right? And pollen grains are preserved as fossils because the sporopollenin was very hard and it is most resistant organic material. That's why they are preserved as fossils. And we discussed about germ pore, right, which do not contains this sporopollenin. What is the function of this germ pore means, when the pollen grains, see, a special process occurs called pollination, right? When this pollen grains falls on the stigma, they has to germinate. That means a pollen tube will form which carry the male gametes near the female gametes, right? So the germination of the pollen grain will be takes place at this place, germ pore only, because sporopollenin is absent now. So when they fall on the stigma, pollen tube arises from this germ pore place only, right? That is about the outer layer, and the inner layer is known as intine, and it's very thin and continuous. It's made up of cellulose and pectin. And the cytoplasm of pollen grain is surrounded by plasma membrane. A protective membrane is present, which we called it as plasma membrane. So pollen grains mature, they form two cells. When they mature, they form two cells. One is vegetative cell and the second one is generative cell. Vegetative cell is, what are the functions, what are the characteristics of vegetative cell means, it's bigger, abundant food reserves are there, and its largely irregular shaped nucleus is present. Inside the vegetative cells, very large irregular shaped nucleus is present. And generative cell is very small. When compared to the vegetative cell, it is small and it floats in the cytoplasm of vegetative cell, and it is spindle shaped. See, Vegetative cell is irregularly shaped, but generative cell is spindle shaped and dense cytoplasm nucleus is present, right? So most of the angiosperms, the pollen grain shed in the two cell stage. That means, what do you mean by maturity? They will shed, that means they should fall on the stigma. They come out and they fall on the stigma, they germinate, right? Most of the angiosperms, the pollen grains shed at this stage, that is two cell stage. Both vegetative and generative cells are formed. At this stage, the pollen grain will shed. But in some of the angiosperms, when the pollen grains reach maturity, the generative cell divides. We have two cells, right? Vegetative cell will be there and the generative cell will be there. In some of the angiosperms, what happens is, this generative cell, vegetative cell will be like that only, but the generative cell divides and give rise to two cells, divides into two cells. And now this stage we called it as three cell stage, because one vegetative cell is there, the generative cell divides and give rise to two cells. So at this stage, at the three cell stage, it divides. Most of the angiosperms after maturity, they shed at this two cell stage. Some of the angiosperms, when the pollen grain reaches maturity, vegetative cell and generative cell will be there, but generative cell divides and give rise to two cells. Now this stage we called it as three cell stage. At this stage, the pollen grains will shed in some of the angiosperms. Example, wheat. In wheat, the pollen grain shed at three cell stage. 60% of the angiosperms, the pollen grain shell in the two cell stage, right? And pollen grains of many species causes allergies and bronchial afflictions. In some people, these allergies will lead to chronic respiratory disorders called asthma and bronchitis. Parthenium and carrot grass enter to India as a contaminant with wheat and they become ubiquitous. That means they are natural here, now general here in occurrence, and causes pollen allergies to most of the people who are working in the fields, right? So the next case, what happens when the pollen grain shed? See, after reaching to maturity, either in two cell stage or in three cell stage, the pollen grains will shed from the plant, right? From the anther they will shed, right? So now what happens to the pollen grains after they shed? Say, after they shed, they have to land on the stigma before they lose their viability. Viability means fertilizing the female gamete and results in the formation of the zygote. That phenomena is there for the pollen grains. Before losing their viability, they should fall on the stigma to get germinated. So this viability will be depends on the temperature and humidity. Viability will be dependent on the temperature and humidity. In case of rice and wheat, this viability is for just 30 minutes. Before 30 minutes, the pollen grains, the mature pollen grains has to fall on the stigma to get germinated. And in the families of Rosaceae, Leguminosae and Solanaceae, the viability is there for months also. Pollen grains of large number of species are stored in years in liquid nitrogen, because the viability is depends on temperature, so they can be stored in the liquid nitrogen whose temperature is minus 196 degrees Celsius. See, what is the use of storing these pollen grains? Stored pollen grains are used as pollen banks. The place where the pollen grains are stored, we call them as pollen banks, which is similar to the seed bank where seeds are stored. In crop breeding programs, we can use this stored pollen grains. Remember that they have to stored in liquid nitrogen whose temperature is minus 196 degrees Celsius, because we want to use the pollen grains in breeding programs. Means the pollen grains has their viability depends on temperature. That's why in order to store the viability of the pollen grains are stored in liquid nitrogen whose temperature is minus 196 degrees Celsius. These stored pollen grains are used for many crop breeding programs. See, pollen grains they have energy, like tapetum, which is a nutritive tissue, provide nutrients to the growing pollen grains, right? Maturity, they have to reach the maturity, means they need food materials. Tapetum supplies the food materials, right? So it's very rich in nutrients. That's why as a supplements, pollen grains are used as a supplements in the form of tablets or even syrups also. So most probably pollen grain tablets or syrups are used to increase the performance of athletes and race horses. For race horses, we'll use this, right? So this is about androecium, the male reproductive part of a flower, where we have discussed about the stamens, anthers, microsporangia, and pollen mother cells, microspores, pollen grains, their maturity, everything we have discussed in this class. So in the next class, that is part 2, reproduction in flowering plants part 2, we learn about gynoecium, the female reproductive part. I hope you all like the video. Please like, share, subscribe Easy Science YouTube channel and share with your friends. Thank you.